Thank you very much, Chad. Our next SAM Talk is from Paula Dorion Gray of Dorion Gray Retirement Planning in Crystal Lake, Illinois. Paula is a certified financial planning professional, over 30 years experience in the financial services industry. She has a book, retirement planning, I should say, called Ready, Set, Retire. That was released in 2006 and sold nationally. She does columns for the personal financial issues columns for the Northwest Herald, regularly interviewed in the Chicagoland area on TV, radio, and newspaper. Please welcome Paula Dorion Gray.
Hi. Whoa. Have you ever done that? You ever walk by a mirror? Or walk down the street and you see your reflection in a mirror and you go, who the hell is that? I mean, I feel like I'm in my 40s. But certainly, well, most days, but certainly the reflection of that woman in that mirror is not somebody who's in the 40s. Have you ever done that? Have you ever looked at yourself and went, where did the time go? It seemed like only yesterday my kids were playing t-ball. And now I'm going to my grandson's football games. My granddaughter is driving and is going to be graduating from high school next year. It's gone. It just goes so quickly. Where does our time go? It's a time to reflect. 2 years ago, a friend of mine called me and said, I'd like to have lunch with you. I said, sure, I'd love to. Very successful business owner in our community. She had a very important job in many of the foundations, on many boards, really well known. Had a great business, had been in business many, many years. We sat down and she said, I got a problem. I said, really, what's your problem? I mean, I couldn't imagine, she had it all. She goes, I'm 65 years old. I don't know how to get out of this business. I don't know how to get out of here. She said, I got some people in the right positions. I got a good finance guy. I got people in the back room that do good work, but I have nobody to replace me. I got no rainmaker. That resonated with me. That resonated with me big time. Now, I'm not 65, but I'm getting close. But I know that I'm not going to be in this business forever. None of us are. Whether it's health or it's age, something is going to cause us to have to leave this business. We need to be prepared for that. And the reason I want to be prepared is because I've got a great team. I got great clients. I got a great business. I got great advisors. And this is the biggest asset that I have. I want to make sure that this business is going to be there for all of them when I'm gone. So here's my story. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background. I started in the business in 1981. Yes, that was 33 years ago. But I started as a receptionist for a financial planner. Now, in 1981, for those of you who were in business at that time, financial planning was really not anything that anybody knew about, and I certainly didn't. But I started as a receptionist. I could type about 40 words a minute. I could answer the phone. I was in. I had the job. I knew nothing about financial planning. I had no idea what it was. 2 weeks after I joined the firm, the administrative assistant to the owner of the company, it was a small company, she walked out. She just walked out the door, shut the door. But a door for me opened because he walked down the hall and said, hey, Paula, how would you like to be my administrative assistant? Well, why not? I get to go down the hall, I get a private office, I get a title, I get an increase in pay, and I don't know what I'm doing here, so I might as well go down there because I could learn something down there just as well. So I said, sure, I'll do that. Why not? I've kind of been a sure I'll do that all my life. So I took the job. I had no college degree. I have no college degree. I have no really background in business, but I was willing to take that job. I was willing to step into it. 6 months after I joined, I decided to get my CFP. There was something about this business that I absolutely loved. Couldn't put my finger on it because I really didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was an opportunity for me to help raise my 3 little boys. In hindsight, it came to be one of the best opportunities of careers that I could have ever even imagined. From 1981 through 1998, I worked for that gentleman for 2 years. Up until 1998, I worked in various institutions. I learned what I didn't want to do. I got into banking in financial planning. Worked with CPAs in financial planning. I started with a financial planning firm that actually merged into a mergers and acquisition company, which I didn't care for. And I ultimately ended up at a broker-dealer, a regional broker-dealer. But in the early 90s, I started bringing on some clients. I started thinking that, maybe this would be something I could do. So I started bringing on clients. In 1995, I hired my middle son because I was becoming a slave to 2 masters. I was working for the BD, and I was starting to bring clients on, and I couldn't do both. So I brought my middle son on in 1995. Kind of looking back on that, that was kind of the beginning of Dorion Gray retirement planning. In 1999, I decided it was time to move on, and I had the opportunity to buy a small financial planning firm, a lot bigger than mine, but in hindsight, kind of small. I bought it from a woman. I left the broker-dealer and went to Securities America, and it was 15 years ago, and I've never really looked back. I also hired at that time my oldest son to come work with me. He started in 1999. He's currently the president of our company. My husband was also working in the back room. He was doing all of our marketing, came out of the corporate world, did our marketing, which did a fabulous job. He was also taking care of the finances. So I had started a family business. I did have other employees, but I had a real family business now with a whole bunch of testosterone. And that's for another story. Don't have time today. So today, our company consists of 5 advisors. I'm one. My middle son is another. We have 3 others. I have 2 professional staff. One is my oldest son. As I said, he's president of the company. We hired a chief compliance officer and operations officer. I don't know how I get along without her, for obvious reasons. My husband is still working somewhat part-time, kind of still behind the scenes, but he's still there. This industry has become so complex. I was talking to Teresa James this morning, and we both commented how far this business has come, on the one hand, in a good way, and how much compliance and regulation there is on the other. And then you add to that the constantly changing financial environment in so many ways. I don't know how one people or one man or one woman shops survive anymore. There's just way too much going on. So when I took into account the complexity of this industry and the time I had in the business, it became really important to me and relevant to me that I start looking at succession planning, both to protect what I've built, which is, I think, pretty powerful, as, again, to protect those who I'm leaving behind. My clients, my staff, my advisors, they're critically important to me. So how did I go about doing that? Well, initially I thought, well, I'll just hire an attorney. I'll hire a local attorney. I'll have him come in. We'll go through the whole thing. He was a good succession planning attorney, I understood. So I called him up, and in the first half hour it became pretty evident to me that I was teaching him everything about our business. He didn't know how we got compensated. He didn't nearly know the structure. He didn't understand overrides. He knew nothing about our business. And I wasn't about to pay him to educate him for him to come back and tell me then how to develop my succession plan. So I decided I was going to turn to a company that Securities America had been telling me to call for the past 2 or 3 years, and that was FP Transitions. Now, if you've not met with them or you don't know who they are the company. I don't even know if there's anybody else in our industry who does this, who really values businesses and walks you through succession planning. Now, here I am. I'm an advisor. What a novel idea to hire somebody to tell me what to do in my business, right? I give advice to clients every day, and I didn't consider hiring somebody to help me with the most critical decision I'm going to make in my life, and that is, how do I unwind myself out of this practice that I've built over the last 33 to 34 years? There's a couple of things that FP Transitions brought to my attention. Number one, they evaluated the business immediately. So they got all of our numbers together and decided to, their job was to come back and tell us what the value of the business was. That was number one. But then they talked about two different issues that in hindsight I probably should have known, but didn't think about because I was too closely tied to it, I was too emotional about the business. Number one is, if you really want to maximize the rate of return on your business, sell it over a period of time. We all know as business owners, small business owners, nobody can write us one check that's going to provide us with the cash flow that we're taking out of our companies every year and doing it for the next 10 to 20 or 30 years. Nobody can do that. We all know, I can, I'm sure most of you can call up the big wirehouses and you can say, I've got a business to sell, and they'll come and they'll write you a big check and you'll pay tax on that. And then what happens? Your staff will be gone and they'll divvy up your advisors or your clients amongst a bunch of brokers. I don't want that for my firm. And I'm sure most of you don't want that for your firm. Secondly, if you really want to ensure that the values and the principles and the philosophies that you've ingrained in your company over the last 30-some years, if you want that to be sustainable, you might want to stick around for a while and make sure that that happens. You don't want to walk away right away. I thought, well, you know what? This makes sense for me. So what did we do? Here's the structure. We worked on this most of last year. It became effective January of this year. We signed papers in December. My husband and I sold 21% of our business. My son, my oldest son, he bought part of it, and another advisor bought part. Now, the piece that I've left out of here, and I missed in this, is that I have two sons, as I told you before. My one son decided that he didn't want to be a part of this purchase. Wow, that was really a shock to me. I hadn't anticipated that. I had a vision. It wasn't a vision that everybody else had. And that was quite an emotional shock for me. But in hindsight, I have to say that he was very, very smart in making that decision, because I was trying to force a round peg in a square hole. And you know what? It would not have worked. He knew it. I intuitively knew it. My other son, who ultimately has bought into the business, we all knew it, but I was too emotionally attached to it. I wanted that to happen, and it couldn't happen, and it didn't. So now I have one son who's bought in, and I have one advisor who's bought in. They've bought 21% of the business. What will happen is they will buy it over the next 7 years. If the business does really well, that buyout will take maybe 5. If we have some ups and downs like 08 or 09, it may take 11 years. Regardless, they're in the process of buying out the business. Our intention now is to make that available to other advisors that want to come in and may like to be a part of our organization and be a part of a bigger picture rather than a 1 or 2 person shop. Keep in mind, I'm going to be around for a while. So these young guys, they did not have to put down a down payment because I'm not going away. Maybe much to their consternation some days, I'm not going away yet. I'm going to stick around for a while. So the reality is that the way we've structured this with the help of FP Transitions is we could be getting, my husband and I could be getting a check for the next 20 to 25 years. And I'm going to stick around long enough to make sure that the people who are left behind are going to instill the values and the philosophy that we've brought along for so many years into everybody else who joins the firm. Our structure has really required my new partners to kind of step up to the plate. And what has been most exciting for me to watch these young guys, one is 37, one's 42, is to see them as of January 1, not that they weren't enthused before, but they didn't have skin in the game before. They got skin in the game today. January 1, those two guys jumped in with both feet. They analyze every dollar we spend. A little disconcerting also because nobody ever looked over my shoulder when I spent money. They're looking at the profitability. They're looking at the growth. They come in with, I got this great idea. I got a great idea to grow this. What do you think about this? They got some good ideas, they got some bad ideas, but we all do. The fact of the matter is, I got two guys who are excited about the future of our company, like I have been for so many years, but I'm not doing it alone anymore. I can't do it alone anymore. Look at all the things we do. We do marketing, we do the planning, we do the operations, we're concerned about compliance. It's not a one-person idea anymore. It takes many. The clients have been asking, based on the reflection in the mirror, so how long are you going to stick around? When are you going to leave? Because we know you're going to retire. That's what your whole business is about. Today, I can say with good conscience, I have everything in place. If I fall off the stage and break my neck and I'm gone tomorrow, that business will go on just fine without me. It's very comforting to them. For them to know that if I'm not there, they're not going to have to go somewhere else. They meet all our team, they know everybody. The hardest part about this, and I'll be really frank, is your ego. Because this was mine for so many years, and now it's not all mine. It's somebody else's. But you know, we can't ride this horse forever. We absolutely cannot do this forever. We know that. We see it happen to our clients. I had a woman come in, she works with one of our other advisors. 6 months ago, she was perfectly healthy. She came in a couple of weeks ago, I did not recognize her. She looked like she was 90. Rare blood disease. It happens. It can happen to us. I'm not taking on any new clients anymore. All I do now is I work with the advisors and I work with them, with the clients. I've got the gray hair, I got the wrinkles, so I got the wisdom according to the clients. So I help a lot in that. I'm going to be more involved in the strategic part of the growth of the company, not the day-to-day operations. The big question for me is, what do I do next? I quite honestly don't know. I've done this for 33 years. I'm looking for what is my encore, if you will. We were at a luncheon yesterday and they talked about it. What do you do next? I'm not going away right away, but it's going to be interesting to see over the next 10 to 15 years what I ultimately end up doing. Because I know I'm going to wind out of this, because I've got 2 great guys who are stepping into the role, and I know there will be more. The average age of a financial advisor is 59. Look around the room. I was looking around the room the other day, and this statistic is accurate. The average age of a financial advisor is 59. You may not have kids in the business, but you need to take a look in the mirror, and you need to be honest with yourself. You know it could happen to you. You know how you'd counsel your clients. We all know how we counsel your clients. It's time to take your own advice. Thank you.